Everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be talking about something that's always changing, always evolving.
Ugh, tell me about it.
We're talking about compliance, and specifically,
Yeah.
we're diving into this podcast episode called Navigating Regulatory Shifts.
Okay.
It's from the Compliance Officer's Playbook, and,
Yeah.
it's all about getting up to speed on the regulatory shifts that are coming up in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, so in this episode, they really highlight a big shift.
Okay.
It's not just about financial stability anymore.
Right.
It used to be all about,
Yeah.
making sure that banks have enough capital.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's about resilience, being able to bounce back from any disruption.
So, what does that actually look like day to day? What does a resilient business even look like?
Yeah, so they outline this three-pronged approach.
Yeah, okay.
Number one, you got to diversify your supply chain.
Okay.
Can't have all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Number two, you have to invest in cybersecurity because cyber attacks are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not if, it's when.
Right.
And finally, you need a flexible business continuity plan.
Okay.
It's like a roadmap for getting back on your feet when something goes wrong.
Okay. And why is all of this so important now? Why is resilience suddenly the hottest topic?
Well, the world's gotten a lot more unpredictable.
That's true.
I mean, pandemics, geopolitical instability, climate change.
Yeah.
In this kind of environment, resilience isn't just a nice to have.
Yeah.
It's how you survive.
It makes sense, for sure. Now, this episode kept coming back to technology and how it's changing everything.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's
Yeah.
creating all these amazing new possibilities.
Right.
But it also comes with a whole bunch of new risks.
Right. And it feels like the regulators are constantly trying to play catch up
They are.
on the new technology,
They're definitely taking notice.
especially AI, right?
For sure, AI is everywhere.
Yeah.
From financial algorithms to medical diagnoses to art and music.
AI is writing songs now.
It's wild.
It's everywhere.
And the episode talks about how AI governance is becoming a major concern,
Mm-hmm.
especially in finance.
Right.
Because, algorithms are making these split-second decisions
Yeah.
about investments and stuff.
And they're making art, which is
Yeah.
freaking some people out. But
Totally.
yeah, so AI governance, that's a big one.
Yeah, and there's this interesting detail about how regulators are looking at the EU's proposed AI Act
Okay.
as a potential model.
Interesting.
This act basically categorizes AI systems based on their risk level.
Okay.
And anything that's high risk, like facial recognition, is going to face a lot more scrutiny
Oh, wow.
and stricter rules.
I had not heard about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cutting edge.
Okay, so even if we don't adopt that specific act here, it sounds like it's setting some kind of precedent
Yeah,
for AI regulation in the future.
for sure.
Which, speaking of the future, cybersecurity,
Oh, yeah.
huge topic.
Always a hot topic.
I feel like every time I turn around, there's a new data breach or ransomware attack in the news.
It's relentless.
It's scary.
And the episode really stresses that you have to have top-notch cybersecurity measures in place.
What kinds of things are we talking about?
Well, things like regular security audits,
Okay,
employee training,
makes sense.
incident response plans, and, of course, business continuity planning.
And it's not just about protecting data from hackers anymore, right?
Right, it's about deep fakes and scams.
Oh, yeah, they talked about that, yeah.
They're blurring the lines of what's real and fake online.
That's some scary stuff.
Yeah, imagine someone using a deep fake to impersonate a CEO,
Right?
and then they authorize these fraudulent transactions.
Oh, gosh.
Or they manipulate stock prices with fake news articles.
That is a whole other world of crime that I had not even considered.
It's a wild west out there.
So how are regulators adapting to all of this? Are they rewriting the whole rule book? Or are they just tweaking the existing frameworks?
It seems like they're trying to do a little bit of both.
Okay.
They're updating the existing framework to address new technologies and business models.
Makes sense.
But they're also creating new rules for things like AI and cryptocurrencies.
Oh,
For example, know your customer and anti-money laundering regulations.
KYC and AML.
Yeah, those were originally designed to combat traditional money laundering, but now they're being applied to cryptocurrency transactions.
So instead of creating a whole new set of rules for every new tech or trend, they're adapting the existing ones.
Exactly.
Clever, clever.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress.
Well, yeah, how can they possibly keep up with
Right.
every single new thing that comes out?
Exactly.
But the key takeaway, it sounds like, is that they're paying attention.
Yes.
They're trying to adapt.
They are definitely aware.
Okay, so we've talked about resilience and how it's become this
Okay.
new mantra for regulators.
Right.
We talked about technology and this double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But this episode also mentioned that the landscape of financial crime itself is evolving.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give us like a specific example?
Well, they talk about money laundering through video games.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I don't even understand how that works.
So let's say you have this popular online game
Okay.
with its own virtual currency.
Okay. Yeah.
Criminals can use that virtual currency to launder money.
Okay.
So they buy in-game items with dirty money,
Uh-huh.
and then they sell those items for clean money outside the game.
So they're using these like
It's like a whole...
in-game economies as a way to clean their money.
Exactly.
Wow, that is pretty ingenious, albeit in a criminal way.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how criminals are exploiting new technologies
Yeah.
to their advantage. And it's a huge challenge for regulators because now they have to monitor these virtual worlds.
Oh my gosh.
They're creating task forces to understand the intricacies of these in-game economies.
Really? Yeah.
It's like this whole new frontier for law enforcement. It is.
They have to basically learn the rules of a whole new game
Right.
just to keep up with the criminals.
It's a whole new world out there.
That's wild.
So I think that's a good place to pause
Okay.
and catch our breath for a second.
All right, to you listening, hang tight while we take a quick break.
Yeah, we'll be back in a flash to delve even deeper.
Into this fascinating world of compliance. So before the break, we were talking about how criminals are getting super creative with money laundering.
Yeah, like using video games to clean their money.
Yeah, video games.
It's crazy.
It makes you wonder, what other tricks do they have up their sleeves?
Oh, they're always coming up with something new.
Right.
Like the episode mentioned the rise of money mules.
Money mules.
Yeah, they're often these unsuspecting individuals
Okay.
recruited online to move illicit funds.
Oh, so they don't even know.
Yeah, a lot of times they have no idea.
Plus, they're part of a...
Right, they think they're just like transferring money for someone,
Oh, wow.
but they're actually helping criminals launder money.
So it's like a modern-day twist on the classic con.
Exactly.
Except now it's global thanks to the internet.
Yeah, it's happening all over the world.
So how are regulators fighting back against all of this?
Well, one of the biggest things they're doing is increasing data sharing and collaboration,
Okay.
both domestically and internationally.
So they're realizing they can't just fight financial crime
Yeah,
in their own little silos.
exactly. They need to be sharing information and working together.
So they're like building a global network of compliance superheroes
I like that analogy.
to take on the financial supervillains.
Exactly. They're teaming up.
Love it. And they're also using technology to their advantage, right?
Oh, yeah. They're investing in things like AI and machine learning
Okay.
to help them analyze massive amounts of data and identify suspicious activity.
So they're kind of taking a page out of the criminal's playbook,
Right.
using technology to fight fire with fire.
Exactly. It's a digital arms race.
I like it. I like it. The episode also talked about complaint management systems. How does that fit into the bigger picture of compliance?
It's actually more crucial than you might think.
Okay.
Regulators are increasingly looking at complaint management systems as like a key indicator
Okay.
of a company's overall compliance posture.
So it's not just about having a system in place.
No, it's about using it effectively
Okay.
to identify and address issues quickly and fairly.
So they want to see that companies are actually listening
Yeah.
to their customers and taking their concerns seriously.
Exactly. They want evidence that companies are investigating complaints thoroughly,
Right.
providing fair resolutions, and using that feedback to actually improve their products and services.
So it's really about demonstrating accountability,
Yes,
building trust with customers and regulators.
absolutely.
It makes sense if a company is just getting the same complaints over and over and doing nothing about it.
Yeah, that's a big red flag.
That's a huge red flag. This whole conversation has got me thinking about all the challenges facing compliance officers today. I mean, trying to stay ahead of all these evolving regulations and risks,
It's a lot.
it must feel like an impossible task.
It's definitely a demanding role.
Yeah, and the episode talks about how the skills needed to be successful in compliance are also evolving.
Right.
One quality that really stood out was adaptability.
Yeah, you got to be able to roll with the punches.
So it's not just about knowing all the rules, it's about being able to adapt.
Exactly, because those rules are constantly changing.
Yeah, makes sense. I bet communication skills are pretty important too.
Oh, absolutely.
You're dealing with all these complex regulations,
Right.
explaining them to people who may not be familiar with compliance at all.
Yeah, you got to be able to break things down.
Make it understandable.
Exactly, whether you're talking to senior management or frontline employees.
So it's like being a compliance diplomat.
I like that.
bridging the gap between the world of regulations and the everyday operations of the business.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And the episode also highlighted critical thinking as another essential skill. What does that look like in the world of compliance?
It's about being able to analyze information, assess risks, and think strategically about how to mitigate those risks.
So it's about connecting the dots and seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. You got to be a problem solver and a proactive risk manager.
So it sounds like the ideal compliance officer is part lawyer, part detective, part psychologist.
And maybe a little bit of a fortune teller,
Yeah, a little bit of a fortune teller.
trying to predict the future.
Anticipating those risks, that's quite a combination.
It is.
Speaking of success, what about staying ahead of the compliance curve?
Yeah,
This episode kept coming back to that.
they did.
What advice does it offer to help people do just that?
Well, they stress the importance of continuous learning.
Okay.
Encourage your team to attend conferences, engage in online forums, take courses.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning, exactly.
And also leveraging technology, right?
Oh, yeah, there are so many tools and resources available now
Make-
that can help track regulatory changes, automate compliance tasks, and manage risks more effectively.
It sounds like it's a combination of keeping your finger on the pulse of the industry
Yes.
and using all the tools that are available.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from money mules to the evolving skills needed to thrive in compliance.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind tour.
Is there anything else we should touch on before we wrap up?
You know, one point that really resonated with me was about shifting from a reactive mindset
Okay.
to a proactive one when it comes to compliance.
I think that's where a lot of companies struggle, right?
Yeah, they're always playing catch up.
So what do you mean by a reactive versus a proactive mindset?
A reactive mindset is all about putting out fires,
Okay.
scrambling to comply with new regulations after they've already been implemented.
Right, so you're always behind.
Exactly. Whereas a proactive mindset is about anticipating change,
Okay.
taking steps to prepare for it.
So it's about planning ahead
Exactly.
instead of playing catch up.
Right.
But how do you actually make that shift?
It starts with a change in attitude,
Okay.
seeing compliance not as a burden or a box to be checked,
Right.
but as an opportunity.
An opportunity.
Yeah, an opportunity to build a better, stronger, more resilient business.
I like that shifting from a burden to an opportunity.
It's a mindset shift.
It's about seeing compliance as a way to protect your business, protect your customers, protect
Yeah.
your reputation.
Absolutely.
So it's a win-win.
It is.
All right, so we've talked about a lot today. I feel like I've learned a ton. Let's wrap things up by going over the key takeaways.
Okay.
You want our listener to walk away with from this deep dive.
All right, so first, remember that the compliance landscape is constantly shifting.
Constantly.
So staying informed and adaptable is crucial.
It's like surfing.
Yeah.
You got to adjust to those waves to stay on top.
Exactly. Second, remember that technology is a powerful tool.
Powerful tool.
It can be used for good or bad.
Right?
Companies need to be aware of the risks and the opportunities and use technology strategically to strengthen their compliance programs.
Like a high-tech shield against those financial supervillains.
I love it. And finally, remember that compliance isn't just about following the rules.
Okay.
It's about building a culture of ethics and integrity.
It goes beyond compliance.
It does. It's about doing the right thing, even when no one is watching.
Well said. I couldn't agree more. So it really sounds like compliance is less about checking boxes and more about fostering this commitment to ethical practices.
Absolutely.
It's not just about avoiding those penalties,
Right.
but about building a business that is both resilient and responsible.
Exactly. And doing the right thing. It's not just ethical.
Right.
It also just makes good business sense.
Yeah.
It builds trust with your customers, with investors, with regulators.
Right.
It protects your reputation, and it ultimately makes your business stronger.
It sounds like a win-win all around.
It really is.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this whole world of compliance.
Yeah, there's always more to explore.
It's a constantly evolving field, which I'm sure keeps things very interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Never a dull moment.
And to you listening, we hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights,
Yeah,
maybe even a few aha moments.
hopefully.
Remember, the world of compliance is like this
Yeah.
fast-moving river.
Right.
So you got to stay curious, stay informed, and stay adaptable.
Be like water.
Yes, exactly. And if there's one thing to take away from this whole conversation, it's that compliance is everyone's responsibility.
That's so important.
It's not just about the rules.
Right.
It's about the choices we make every single day.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, happy compliancing.
Happy compliancing.